appears the Summer of Love 2.0 has begun. Over the weekend, Christians held a permitted rally in Seattle where they were violently attacked by far-left extremists. They decided to return to protest the mayor who sided with Antifa. And now, oh boy, the FBI says they're getting involved. Dan Bongino said we're not going to stand for Christians being attacked. Seattle Police Union president warns of a long, long summer after the mayor backs Antifa over officers and Christians. As the story goes, this is what we can expect to see. Now, with the FBI intervention, maybe something will change, but I'm not entirely convinced. Christians held a peaceful rally. They played music. That's it. The far left showed up and began to beat people, throw objects into the crowd. Many were arrested. And the city defended Antifa. So when Christians came back, angry that their permitted rally was attacked and the city defended the criminals, more far-left extremists showed up to attack Christians. We have the story from the Post-Millennial. They say Seattle is facing another public safety reckoning, and the city's police officers are sounding the alarm in a blistering interview on the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio. Seattle Police Officers Guild President Mike Solan took direct aim at Mayor Bruce Harrell, accusing him of putting officers in harm's way by siding with radical activists over his police force. The controversy erupted after Antifa targeted a Christian concert on Saturday. Antifa militants injured several Seattle police officers, but Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell blamed the violence on Christian worshipers. Solon said officers were left without proper support or recognition, claiming that Harrell appeared more focused on managing political optics than ensuring the safety of those on the front lines. Now we have this. This has been, this is pretty wild. This was last week. Look at this from Frontline. Seattle PD arrests dozens of Antifa, trans activists, and far-left militants at Cal Anderson Park in Capitol Hill. Authorities began making arrests after hundreds of activists appeared to engage in melees and brawls. Now, you may have seen this story. Frontlines by TPUSA has this quick narrative. I'll give you a quick context for those that missed it. The group Mayday
Hundreds of Christian
USA.
Worshippers flooded Seattle's Cal Anderson Park Saturday afternoon to pray for the city and take a stand for traditional family values.
You will not disrespect the blood of Jesus Christ!
Especially against transgender ideology targeting children, all part of the Mayday USA revival movement sweeping across the nation.
And the Lord says, sound the alarm! Sound the alarm! Lift up your voice!
But a time of blessing and praise quickly devolved into chaos. Far-left activists and Antifa militants tried to disrupt the concert.
Tried to. They literally did.
Absolutely insane. Throwing water balloons at the crowd, menacing attendees, and some activists even tried rushing the stage.
I would say there's two kingdoms clashing here today. There's the kingdom of God, and then there's the kingdom of Satan.
Which led to numerous clashes and scuffles with police.
All these Antifa activists, and then you got the concert going on here right now. What's it been like today?
And I think it just illustrates the idea that people who champion free speech and champion free expression are ultimately threatened and irritated by anybody else who has an opposing message. So
Russell Johnson with Pursuit Church was one of several pastors from Seattle participating with their congregations.
Now, that's the basic context. We do have this from Dan Bongino, who posted, "We have asked our team to fully investigate allegations of targeted violence against religious groups at the Seattle concert. Freedom of religion isn't a suggestion." So here we go, baby. Post-Millennial goes on to say, cops got put in the hospital, Solon stated. Referencing injuries sustained during violent protests, he pointed to a press release issued by SPOG that called attention, that's the police union, called attention to what he termed Seattle's public safety reality, a dire state marked by depleted staffing, and political abandonment. This is the city's reality. We are below minimum staffing. Every shift in every precinct, the officers you saw on the line, those were patrol officers pulled from precincts. So who's left to answer 911 calls? I don't care. It's Seattle. I'm not going to, look, guys, I care that they're attacking Christians. I care that these are violent psychopathic terrorists. I don't care about the city of Seattle. Y'all, look, I can express this is a problem, but at a certain point, you've heard me say it before, why do you live in Seattle? It's a far left psychotic city where the government is on the side of Antifa. Antifa, far left extremist crackpots, have more governmental legitimacy in this city than the police do. So when the police come out and say this is better, say, okay, no, I respect that. You're telling your city, but I don't live there. I would never live there. And I advocate people should leave those cities. Stop funding it. Well, that's what they do. They fund it with their tax dollars. When you live there and you pay income tax, your tax dollars are paying for all this stuff. They say currently about 850 officers are available for emergency response or follow-up investigations in Seattle, Solon explained. Nearly 280 of those are eligible for retirement, further threatening the department's operational integrity. Solon warned that if current trends continue, political pandering, lack of support, and ongoing violence, Seattle may face another mass exodus, similar to what happened during and following the George Floyd riots in 2020. We are already out of contract. We've been out for a year and a half. We keep hearing about hiring gains, but no one is talking about the number of officers walking out the door. If we lose another 100 officers, it's over. We won't be able to protect the city. Here's my advice, and I mean this sincerely. Quit now. 100 officers, that's all you need to do. You see, the way the city's operating right now is they're saying, how much can we mercilessly beat these cops and they're still willing to stay on the job and do the bare minimum? And that's their cost-benefit analysis, their cost-risk analysis. So you say, if another 100 police officers quit the force, then we're in trouble. We can't protect the city. They say, okay, so we don't got to do anything until at least 90 officers quit. 100 officers, we're not even anywhere near total breakdown. Now, what would happen if right now these officers just said, we're quitting, goodbye? The city would be in panic and they would beg for help. And if they can't enforce the law, Trump can invoke the Insurrection Act and then he can enforce the law for them. Dan Bongino may send in the FBI. Maybe that will get something cleared up. But I think we're dealing with public corruption, violation of civil rights. The fact the city is defending criminals, we need a federal intervention. That's what this is for. That's why we have a federal government. Solon didn't mince words when criticizing Mayor Harrell, who campaigned on a platform of public safety but has since alienated many in the law enforcement community. This mayor seems more worried about being outflanked by the activist left than leading. He's pandering to people who view Antifa violence as acceptable, while ignoring the reality that officers are being assaulted. Harrell's support for leftist agitators over the Christian group prompted a Tuesday evening protest on the steps of City Hall, in which pastors and Christians demanded an apology or for Harrell to resign. Solon argued that instead of showing leadership, Harrell made the situation worse by invoking identity politics and failing to acknowledge injured officers. Take a look at this. It happened again. Christians protest at City Hall to demand Mayor Bruce Harrell resign. Police arrest 8 leftist agitators. Now, look, some of you may be saying, I don't know if this is going to be Summer of Love. I'm trying to get the camera to focus. It's not working. Summer of Love 2.0, but it is just Seattle. So some people are saying this is what Seattle is, this is what Seattle does. But to be fair, Summer of Love 1.0 was largely Seattle. The question is, will this expand beyond the crackpot left capital's borders? Now, maybe you can argue that Portland is substantially worse and Seattle isn't the capital of leftist nonsense, but you get the point. Seattle is a failed city. These Pacific states are failed states. They've got homelessness. There was even a period where we saw the return of the bubonic plague. Let me see if I can find this. Plague in California. Remember that one? Sylvatic plague, bubonic plague is still it's still present in California. Oh, man. Wow, even Colorado's got the plague now. Look at this. Literally, it's called the plague. Bubonic plague. Health officials confirm person in Colorado infected with bubonic plague. So I live in West Virginia. We don't have bubonic plague. Maybe we do. I don't know, to be completely honest. Let's see. West Virginia plague. Maybe they do. Maybe I got to be fair, right? Plague does not occur in West Virginia. West Virginia does not have plague. Okay. It's an unhealthy state, though. Okay, well, no. Yeah, there's no plague here. But there is plague there. This is what a failed state looks like. It's a health crisis. It's a political crisis. It's a legal crisis. Now, the issue was, in the Biden administration, they did nothing. I think Donald Trump's bet in the first summer of love was, these people are going to tank the Democrats. Well, I'm not so sure he was right. I think Trump's plan was let them riot and rampage, and then everyone's going to blame the Democrats for it. No, they blamed Trump. They said Trump was the president and didn't do anything, and riots were happening, and they wanted change. Trump should have invoked the Insurrection Act to shut down the riots because these Democrat states weren't doing it. He could have sent in the National Guard to stop the rioting. I suppose the issue was, everybody says if he did that, they'd call him a fascist. And there's a fair point. If Trump stopped the riots before they could start, then all anyone would talk about is Trump deploying the military into various cities. And they'd say it's over, an unarmed black man being killed. So it's hard to know exactly what you should do, to be honest. I'd say right now, Trump's not looking for re-election. He should invoke the Insurrection Act, send law enforcement into these jurisdictions, and shut it all down. But I suppose we'll see what Dan Bongino does. I'm going to wrap it up there. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next segment.